Hi folks, we are here with Dr. Andrew Zelenetz from Memorial Sloan Kettering in New York. It's our first time in SINTOMA. What are you think about all this event that are going on here?
Well, this is a very interesting event because it brings together international experts, bringing the standard of care. But the important part of this meeting is the integration of local experts who really know what's happening in Brazil. Because we can say do X, Y, or Z, but maybe X, Y, and maybe even Z is not available in Brazil. And so having that, sort of understanding of where the state of the art is, but then understanding where the actual practices in Brazil is really important. And that counterbalance actually then really makes the meeting special. We discussed some of the challenges of bringing CAR T-cell to Brazil. The importance of identifying patients early because the approval process is long and drawn out. It is important that needs to be shortened. 4 months simply is too long for relapsed refractory large cell lymphoma to be successful, but certainly identifying those patients early on, the treating physician, even if they're not going to be the person who's doing the CAR T-cell, they have to be on top of things and making that referral very early so the ball can get rolling and people can get access to exciting therapy. If you look at the centers in the United States that provide CAR T, you have a lot on the East Coast, you have a lot on the West Coast, not too much in the middle, but the ability to be referred for CAR T is relatively straightforward, particularly for patients who have insurance. Patients who don't have insurance can still get CAR T through Medicaid, but it is a little bit more difficult. It does take a little bit more time. We've been doing it for a number of years, so the whole process of identifying the patient, getting the payer approval, and then getting the CAR T collection slot and doing the manufacturing has become very routine. It wasn't at the beginning, but it's become very routine now. I agree, it's a lot of money in the US. We have to figure out ways to improve the manufacturing, make it more efficient, make it less expensive. Novartis has done something where their manufacturing is much shorter. Can we do that with the other products, reducing the manufacturing time, making it easier, less expensive? That's really where the challenge is. Part of the problem is we have to make a custom product for every patient. So as the technology advances, can we use allogeneic stems so that they're off the shelf and that we can just have them immediately available? That cuts down a lot of things. It cuts down the manufacturing costs and the expense. This is a direction that we would like to go, but we need to prove that these are as effective as the autologous CAR T-cell. That depends entirely on the manufacturer. If we use axicabtagene, we can identify a patient, almost always get a manufacturing, a leukapheresis slot within days, and then 17 days after the leukapheresis is done, we'll get product back. With lisacabtagene, it's longer, and it's not uncommon to be about 4 weeks or so to get the product back. There's fortunately increasing availability of leukapheresis slots, but even there we had some issues. So a lot of it has to do with manufacturing capacity, what is available. That's improving for all the products.
And last night you gave us the example of Montana.
Correct, and that's one of the problems is if you live in New York City, maybe you're 10 miles from a CAR T center. If you live in Montana, you're hundreds of miles from a CAR T center. You know, either you go west and you go to Seattle, or you go east and you go to Chicago, but you know, you're in the middle of nowhere, and that dramatically increases the cost for the patient. If you're in Queens and you know you're 10 miles from a center, you're living at home.
Yeah.
If you're from Montana and you have to go somewhere else, you have to be prepared to live in that city for about 3 months, and that's an enormous expense. Well, so we actually have a pretty organized system. We split out our transplant service into a transplant service and a cellular therapy service. There are many people who serve on both, but we've really streamlined it. So if I identify a patient, early relapsing large cell lymphoma, someone who I really don't think is going to be a transplant candidate, I can make a referral to the cellular therapy service, have them seen within days. That's not, I'll get that patient back immediately to do the bridging and everything else. But in the meantime, everything has been started so that we have a leukapheresis slot, we can collect cells, we can do the manufacturing while I'm still doing the bridging therapy and then get the patients to CAR T-cell.
Very nice. Thank you, Professor, for you joining here with us, and I'm looking forward to see you next year here with us.
Thank
you
very
much.